Evening, yeah, wrong'uns. We're in the body of the Kirk early because there's lots to get through tonight. Lots and lots and lots. Breaking news, we'll do Epstein. We'll go major deep dive on Epstein. As I say, the Mondays and Tuesdays in between the Sundays and Wednesdays are going to become the deep dive membership areas. So tonight we're going to do a deep dive on Epstein. What's going on, what's not going on. Dead women can't speak. So we'll get into that in just a little while. Let me just make sure I've got everything in order. So the early 10 to 15 minutes before we start at past is meant to be parish notes. So stuff that's going on, stuff that I need you to know about, stuff that I want you to know about before we get into the main stuff. When we get to 8 o'clock, the first thing I'm going to do is say thank you to Les Griffiths and the Scarlet Pimpernel, simply because, well, there's another lie. There's another lie. We're going to out that 8 o'clock. Sorry, 7:30. Tonight, because it's so early, and because of doing these lives, a bit like live radio, really, and I should be an old hand at live radio, having done it for over 40 years, the adrenaline still kicks in, and the adrenaline keeps going after the live has stopped. So sometimes it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning before I get to sleep. So I've cut down on the coffee today, because last night I was awake late. It's just hibiscus, no alcohol, still on the antibiotics. So thank you to Stuart, who offered me some Jaeger bombs. Sadly, still having to refuse them. I've got to go back to my body as a temple. I've got to go back to the doctor in the morning, and she's going to go, oh, I say, Mr. Allen. They all say that. So part of the sermon this evening, I don't know where you were 20 years ago, whether you were aware of 7/7. A bit like 9/11, really. But me, I don't believe any of that bullshit. No, don't be silly. I'll tell you why in just a little while. EHCPs, their support for, well, technically legal protection for children with educational special needs. We're going to talk about that this evening. We're also going to talk about the Royals, the rumours, not the stuff that's in the mainstream media, the rumours. And hello, it's me, David. Yeah, we've got another Beckham watch, because they're in the bloody papers again today, man, like Hinny Pet. They're in the newspapers, and it's me, David. We're going to talk about my family and how I fucked up one of my kids. Well, not really, I haven't, so to speak, but he's not speaking to me anymore, because he's just not. There is many things that I could say, but we'll talk about wealth and children of the wealthy. They're always fucked up with either gear, drugs, or just emotional stuff. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about David Beckham watch, because I've told you before, because Beckham's going to run through as a reoccurring theme all the way through tonight. Why? Well, he's been to Diddy parties. I've been to Diddy parties, me. I've been into the inner sanctum of the Diddy parties, because I'm famous, me, man. I'm a knight now. I'm a sir. You can call me Sir Beckham. We'll talk about that. And, seemingly, my son Brooklyn's still not talking to us for some unknown reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe because we're seen as the impoverished. We're seen as the peasants, because we're only worth 400 million. And, Nicola Peltz, or Nicola Beckham Nee Peltz, her dad's multi-billionaire. So, technically, we're peasants. So I'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's get into the stuff. Neil Cunningham, quite rightly, excellent comment to start with. Thank you, Neil. Good evening, everyone. Remembering the 52 people whose lives were cut short in the London transport attacks 20 years ago. People whose ideology is to cause destruction will never win. There are more good people in the world than bad. Let that stand as the epitaph for the 52. R.I.P. They never walked alone. Are we all Liverpool supporters, by any chance? I agree with everything Neil says, and the sentiments in Neil's comments. But there are... Look, I told you at the beginning of the year, like December, when I was making the predictions for 2025, what did I tell you 2025 was going to be? It was going to be the year of the PSYOP or false flag events. And it's just dripping with shit this year. Dripping with it. I mean, there's Charles the Weak. He's come out. Not out, but I've seen the photographs. He's not out. And he's saying, oh, you know, terrible 20 years ago. Terrible. And communities came together. Which ones? Charlie, mate? I mean, it's unfortunate in this land when you shout Charlie, all these politicians start running. I don't know why, because it's the king. It's Charles the Weak. He's got no fucking idea. He has no idea. He's so far removed from his peoples and understanding of the indigenous populations of this country. I mean, remember those rumours that he was a Muslim? Can you imagine? Charles, sir. Former Freemason. Well, once you're a Freemason, you're always a Freemason. But he's done the first 3 degrees, as did his dad. And we can tell, you know, Philip was his dad. Definitely. So we'll talk about 7/7 because there's something, you know, my adage, the presence of the unusual in the usual. That's, you know, my saying, my intelligence head, as in kind of spy head, not, you know, got a few IQ points head. The intelligence head, presence of the unusual in the usual. Anybody who's been trained in spying will tell you that is the deal. And there was something that was present on 7/7, and bizarrely on the 20th anniversary of 7/7, the newspapers didn't carry it. They didn't. What is it? I'll tell you in just a little while. But you know the main thrust of tonight? Jeffrey Epstein. No files, no names, no nothing. No pack drill, no nothing. So we're unsure as to why Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail. Andy, the pervert, he likes them young. In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, he likes his bananas green. And, we've got news on what's happening with Andy. Randy, any holes a go? Randy. So are we anywhere near 7:30 yet? Yeah, we're there. So I want to say thank you to Les Griffiths and to the Scarlet Pimpernel. Les outed what was going on last night in the comments. I didn't see it, but somebody made me aware of it after I'd finished the live. And Les Griffiths is absolutely bob on the money. Thank you, Les. Thank you for being vigilant. And I love the fact that you absolutely do not take other people's bullshit. You don't take it. Because, well, that's why we're all here. That's why we have a community here. Because there's stuff that people are promulgating, that are putting out there. They're trying to manage their own narrative. But I don't believe that they can remember what they've said previously. Recollections may vary. Of course they do. But when you've got the truth, and the truth is yours, you can hold it as a shield against all the bullshit and the lies. People, I mean, it's just the human condition. Lies. Self-admitted lies in courts of law. Lies. Now, I have tried to apply my life experience and my intellect and my ninja senses and all that stuff to this situation because I don't know why. Les says, I'll go to this and then I'll go back to something else Les said last night. I love the fact that you won't even take my bullshit. You won't even take what I say. And sometimes, like last night, somebody said, I talked about the Iranians, and somebody said, no, Adrian, no, they're Persians, not Muslims. So I thought, hang on a second. Didn't I say a few weeks ago on one of the lives that Iran was made up 96% Muslim, that declare themselves or identify themselves as Muslim? Correct. They may have been Persians in the past, but according to the most recent data, 96% of Iran identifies themselves as Muslim. So what I said last night was true, but at the same respect, I took what somebody said last night, said, oh, the Persian, and thought, okay, maybe I've got it wrong. I need to check that. And I always go away. If I think I've got something wrong, I'll go away, I'll check it, and I'll come back the next live. maybe Sunday to Wednesday, or as it's been Sunday to Monday, and just check. And I checked, and 96% of Iran is Muslim. But Les, I love the fact that Les obviously has, and I can't kind of speaking for Les, which I shouldn't do, but Les said last night, I don't think that was the convicted stalker's mother in that video. And I thought, that's an unusual premise. Has Les finished off the altar wine before he's left the body of the Kirk to go home and has been a bit wobbly on his legs? Turns out that Les Griffiths, the king tonight, the number one, absolutely got this bob on. And the Scarlet Pimpernel went for a deep dive into this stuff, and I've come up with a theory. So, to Alex Belfield, I know that you watch this, not all of it, but I know that you watch it, especially when I'm mentioning you. Why did you lie about your mother in the video? Why would you lie? Now, the only generous thing I can suggest to Alex is that he is either trolling his own audience or he's coming up with something and his timing is not quite right, a bit like the wide-mouthed frog that he's come up with. Obviously, that was a lie, but it was an attempt at comedic timing and for funny. But I don't think that for his audience, you, not me, because I don't watch his stuff, but there are a lot of people that send me stuff because I'm too busy with other stuff. And he said that his mum and dad were in the video. But the woman in the video wasn't his mother, isn't his mother. Not even a showbiz mother, if there is such a thing. So I'm going to tell you, courtesy of Les, who outed it last night in the chat, and I had no knowledge because I was live until about 10:15 last night here. So I've got an alibi. Les says, Tracy Kim Rhodes, ex-Britain's Got Talent act, is the lady Alex Belfield introduced as his mum. So as I say, being generous of spirit, it may be, and I'm marking the line in the sand now, maybe he's looking at, he loves to dress up, does the convicted stalker. He loves dressing up in wigs and stuff, and maybe he likes, on a weekend, because he did come out at the trial. He came out as out. So isn't anybody asking why he was at a Pride March at the weekend in London? Because he's one of them. He's one of the alphabet people, LGBTQ plus, whatever he wants to describe it as. He's one of them. That's why he was at Pride. He told you at the trial. Have you not forgotten? So I'm being generous with this. There was something that we used to carry on Century 106. I've told you before. The convicted stalker hasn't got an original idea in his head. He hasn't got an original line in his head. He thieves it from everybody else. And I've got proof. Because although there's a truism in life. If you point the finger at someone, actually, you're talking about yourself. So he is suggesting that those with the goggly eyes are jealous. Why would I be jealous of somebody that nicks all my lines? Explain that to me, Alex. Explain it to me. Because you can't. You can't. I'll tell you this, though. You've just lied to your whole audience. You lied about why would you go to Pride in London on the weekend of the Pride March? Unless you were one of the alphabet people and you're talking about vagina and stuff and women. Hadaway and shite, man, Alex. You came out at the trial, but you're conveniently forgetting that little bit of narrative. So what am I telling you now? There was something on Century 106 that we used to run that was also part of Century in the Northeast. And John Myers, bless his cotton socks, ran it because it was bloody funny. It was called The Bradshaws. Now, I don't know whether the convicted stalker is going to do his version of Mrs. Brown's Boys or whether he's going to do his version of The Bradshaws. Now, The Bradshaws was a little North Yorkshire family, kind of North Nottinghamshire, South Yorkshire, you catching me, grift? And he might do a version of that. But I don't understand why he's taken someone that evidently isn't his mother and told his audience that that's me mother.
So I am aware of things, and I'm aware of a lot more of stuff that I don't necessarily want to bring here. But I'm just telling everybody and putting a line in the sand. It may be coming the convicted stalker's version of the Bradshaws. He's probably still got the cassette somewhere. Or he's going to do his version of Mrs. Brown's Boys and go into panto. Because remember, to get round his license agreements, he's either going to use a puppet and say, the puppet did it, Your Honour, not me, I didn't say anything. Or it was AI. Or I was in character. Now, you can get away with satire and comedy in America. The laws are different in this country. So I would suggest, just to give you the heads up, and thanks to Les and the Scarlet Pimpernel for doing the research and giving us all the heads up, that the woman in the video that he says, this is my mum, she's called Tracy Kim Rhodes, ex-Britain's Got Talent act. She's the one that he introduced as his mother. Now, he's either taking the piss out of you, out of his audience, because he thinks it's funny, and there is an element, in my experience of him, there's an element of sadism to the man. He gets off on it. And that's my life experience, my lived experience, and my knowledge of the man. And he can tell people as much as he wants. I've not spoken to that man since I was 19. Oh, I think that's a lie, Alex, don't you? Because I've got the evidence. I've got the emails. I've got you attempting to contact me less than, or just over 10 years ago. So I've got all the evidence, and you can tell people without any corroborative evidence a lie, and your audience will believe it because they think you walk on water. Well, I'm telling you, I hate liars and lies. So because you use the goggly eyes, every single time you use that, I'm going to have a right of reply. And my right of reply will be corroborated by evidence, so that your audience and mine can see that you are a liar. A self-admitted liar in 2 separate court cases. But you are lying about having the newspapers running a story on you having an affair with a prison officer. And nobody asked any questions. What, the actual? No, he's not married. He's not married. Unless, well, they've changed the way you can get married in this country. Unless it's to a bloke. He's not married to a woman. And as the presiding judge in his court case says, he has internalized homophobia. And I will take from that, because it is evident you can, he hates himself. He hates himself. I mean, beyond any scale that I'm aware of. Why would you tell people you're married when you're not? Another lie. I mean, I could sit there, if you wanted me to analyse all of his videos, I could sit there and identify every single lie. I can identify, because I'm experienced in radio, I can identify which person said what and where he's taken it from. Bob Monkhouse, somebody sent me something where he says, oh, I'm sitting down, but I'm still giving you a standing ovation. It's a Bob Monkhouse line. Fartheads, it's a Scotty McClue line. I keep telling you, not an original thought in his head, in my view, and I'm corroborating it by who gives you the lines. But the big story tonight is not him. I just want to say, I just acknowledge those that are as on it as anybody else. So Les Griffiths, thank you very much, Les, for pointing that out last night, and to the Scarlet Pimpernel for doing a deep dive research, so I could, my breath is taken by the audacity. Why lie? Honestly, all he has to do is come out of jail, acknowledge that he did wrong, apologise to his victims, and then just say, we want to make Britain laugh again, as he has. So make people laugh. Now, I did big up, sorry, the reason why I took my time there is because I said that BT was stable and that we had it sorted last week, and it's just lagged. So there's either something going on internally in this house, or BT's just as shite as EE, and they talk a good game. But we'll see. So let me welcome a few people into the body of the Kirk. Les Griffiths. Adrian, he's done it at least twice before, claiming 2 separate women were his wives. He's never been married. He's never been in a long-term relationship, let alone married. It would be one of those where he's admitted this at his trial. He's into blokes. Is that why he was at Pride over the weekend? But he keeps forgetting to mention this. Just be yourself. If there's so much internalized hatred of yourself, and I'm talking generally here, then no wonder people get a bit fucked up. And I'm talking generally. And sometimes it's when the wife finds out that actually the husband goes and helps out when it gets busy. Ian Dawkins says, Tracy Kim Rhodes is a comedian who auditioned for Series 13 of Britain's Got Talent. Well, she was in his video last week. There was also another bloke with a really, really loud shirt. Familiar facially, but I'm not quite sure who it was. Don't know whether it was Tracy Kim's hubby or... how can I say this? So, you know the wife thing? A presenter that we both know created a wife. Gay. I mean, I was the token straight in radio, to be fair. In all my radio stations, it's the majority are gay. And this gay guy just invented a whole backstory, a whole life story with a girlfriend and a wife. And I don't know, this is 2025. I don't understand why people need to lie about that. We don't care. So long as you're in love and be loved and are loved and give love, who's to criticise that? So long as it's not kids and the elderly and dogs or animals. But, you know, anybody that finds love, we wish them well because we're all searching for it and ultimately we're all just walking each other home. But why invent a missus when he hasn't got one? Unless he has a husband and a bit like Emile Macron. But I know he's never been married because, trust me, he would have crowed from the rooftops if he was, and he's not. And as far as I'm aware, he's never had a long-term relationship. In fact, I don't even... Well, unless it's with a bloke. But as far as I'm concerned, he came out of the trial, so that I am allowed to say that. And it's 2025. Who gives a flying? I see you says, love is a movable feast. Can I have the wings, please? Beata, how do you know he was there, Adrian? Did he get dressed up? I'm not sure what you mean, Beata. How did I know he was where? Sorry. Yes, the man with her is her partner, husband. Ah, right, okay, Rusty's Roamings. So it's Tracy Kim Rhodes. It's her husband. Gene Psychic says, engage the audience, think he's trying too hard and come back too soon. But that was my advice to him. If ever he was going to listen to me, and he won't, because he thinks he knows better, I said take at least the first month off. But he needs that affirmation from the audience. It's like a drug for him. He needs that affirmation. But if he'd taken his time, got his comedic timing back, because it is there, but it's not there the way it was before he went away. And I did tell you, as my audience, that going to prison will have traumatized him in some way. And he keeps flip-flopping between Arts of Cruise and On Your Knees with Belfield, and it's not easy in jail. Of course it's not. And being moved around is not easy either. So you go to one jail and you do another 5 before you're finished. Andrew James says, I remember you saying he met for threesomes on Plenty of Fish and not for dates. When he was, so that would have been 2003, 2004. He was, I didn't say Plenty of Fish, I did say social media on the apps. I didn't know which one because he might have been on them all. But yes, he did meet a married couple for a threesome because he told me. And it's not, my reputation as somebody who tells the truth is infinitely more valuable than somebody who's been to jail and told lies. And that's the problem with his life now. He's trying to convert the narrative from convicted stalker to a different word. So then it's a bit like grooming gangs. The media use the term grooming gangs. They're not grooming gangs. They're rape gangs and sexual abuse gangs. That's more accurate. But the media don't want to say that in case... Well, look, if the Oasis film is going to carry trigger warnings because they're using the words cigarettes and alcohol, I mean, give me a slap in the face. So, Mephistopheles, worse when slop out. I see you. Stuart, his only fans fell for it. Well, that's down to them. Pays your money and you takes your choice. It's exactly the same for the people that come to this channel. They come to this channel for a myriad of reasons, and they stay with this channel again for a myriad of reasons. But it's, for me, it's about trust and integrity. Trust, honesty, and integrity. You trust me because every now and again I might get something wrong, a bit like the Persians and the Muslims. I knew that I'd said a couple of weeks ago in the back of my head, but the speed of presenting on a YouTube live is very different to having a conversation with your mate in the pub. Because you can take a little time to get it right. Takes a little time. Who did that song? Total Contrast. There you go. There's speed of thought for you. So, Total Contrast takes a little time. Top 10 hit, I think. And so the speed of doing a YouTube live, you've got to be on it. I don't talk like this to my wife. I don't talk like this to my family. They think I was absolutely insane mad. A conversation is a two-way thing. This is presenting. And Simon Gretier, apologies, Simon, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Can't believe that he's still calling the Notts police corrupt. He's already lost a court case for defamation. He's sailing extremely close to the wind. My bet is he'll be back in before Christmas. Yeah, there's every chance. But we don't know his conditions. As I say, dressing up, wigs, puppets. He can say, it was the puppet, Your Honour. I never said it. Well, you're the ventriloquist actor. You must have said it. No, it was the puppet, man. It was the puppet. And then he'll turn around and go, wasn't me. I was in character. No. It wasn't Alex Belfield. It was Mrs. Brown's Boys. Or it was the Bradshaws. Got nothing to do with me. Bloody hell, I've turned into David Beckham again. He's definitely not like David Beckham. Beata. Okay, you meant the Pride March. I don't... Look... His audience are his audience, and he has an audience. If they want to spend their hard-earned buying whatever wares he's promoting, then that's their choice. But this audience here, sharp as a razor, and see through the bullshit. Ian McGee says, my missus slaps me, but can't say anymore. She's a wrong'un. So was Frank Buff. He paid good money for that, Ian. Beata, that won't wash, surely. Chris Mundy, he said he's prepared to go back to prison. What do you think? No, as he hellers like. If he was prepared, look, all of the stuff that he's come out with since he left jail that I'm aware of. So he's still calling Nottinghamshire Police corrupt. He's still saying defund the BBC. But, you know, the general consensus is we don't need the BBC anymore because it's shite. So just aligning, you know, Nonce Factory and the pedo statue at the front of the BBC. Do something about it. Don't bellyache about it on YouTube. Do something about it. So he says he gave a dossier because he's an investigative journalist and he went in jail because he wanted to see what it was like. He's an investigative journalist and he was investigating as a journalist inside prison. It's like the doll and giving birth to the doll 3 years ago after an affair with a prison guard. It's just bullshit. And now he's got the fat lass, Mrs. whatever her name is, Tracy Kim Rhodes, as his mother. Why would he even do that. Because it becomes, it just becomes another lie, another lie, another lie, another lie. Why? There's so many things that he's saying that's evidently wrong, or he's trying to subvert. Just look, if any of his team are listening, please, he just needs to be himself, because himself is good enough, unless he hates himself so much, in which case he'll never feel that he's good enough, and he will manipulate people into doing his bidding, because he'll never feel good enough. But from where I'm sitting and the lived experience that I know, and I will say it again, he cooked me dinner in his flat at Canary Wharf that he was paying, I think it was £1,500 odd pounds per month for. I stayed in his spare room a couple of times. So he's saying, oh, I've never spoken to him since I was 19. He can't even remember whether it was 19 or 20. So I'll jog his memory, because, you know, recollections may vary. I mean, he's had trauma for 2.5 years. So I'll just refresh his memory. I left Century 106 in August 2000. That would make him 20 and 6 months. That's when I last worked with him. But technically, I also worked with him as Father Christmas, Funk Wang Bollock Shite, on his Capital AM late night show. The Alex Belfield Revolution. And even when he came to YouTube, he still used that title. Nothing new. But I've told you the story about saying we were recording it. We always recorded it before he went on air, so you could just drop it in. It was only 90 seconds or so, if that. And it was always, oh, let's delve into Santa's sack of wit. Now, this must have been, when was he at Capital AM? 2003. When was I in that house? I moved into that house. Must have been 2005 or 2006. I moved out of the house that I was doing the recording in to move somewhere else in 2006. So it might have been 2005 when he was at Capital AM doing his late night. And we did Santa's sack of wit. So every time we'd work out the gag, we'd work out the ins and outs, how we were going to do it, and he would just say, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have Father Christmas and the elves in December, in the run up to Christmas. We've got the Father Christmas and the elves, and Santa, what is in your sack of wit?" Or however we introduced it, and I'd tell the gag, "Ho ho ho, young Alex, yes," and all that malarkey. Theatre of the Mind, radio, late night radio. And the night where I kind of tripped over my tongue and I couldn't get it, I was like, oh, fuck, wang bollocks shit. He said, don't, just keep going. I'll edit that bit out. And he didn't. He left that bit in. How he didn't get fired for that, I'll never know, but nobody complained. So, obviously, a lot of love for Father Christmas, and even when Father Christmas has got Tourette's and a bit of a potty mouth, the Kiddywinkles still love Father Christmas. So that must have been 2005. So he's telling his audience, I've never spoken to him since 2000, but we still work together on his Capital AM late night show in December. And he nicked Santa's sack of wit from one of his Vegas or American jaunts. He came back and said, oh, I've heard this, I want to do it for Christmas. Right, okay, yeah, okay. So I can give you a million stories that corroborate that what I'm saying is true. And that's why all he can do is wave goggly eyes around, thinking it's funny. Well, do you know something? Why don't you just tell the truth? Tell your audience the truth. But you wouldn't know the truth if it stood up and bit your bollocks off. Hang on a second. I'm just going to refresh my screen because it froze a little there. And every time I refresh it, go on, Neil. That's very funny, Neil. That is very funny. Have we got another Belfield in the body of the Kirk this evening? Retro on his bikes on others' channels. I am admin, so I've banned me, Beth. Oh, right, okay. Chris Mundy, do you think he'll survive prison again? I think he's there. There is a self-sabotage to many human beings, and they will say something that they actually don't want to happen, for fear of it happening, to kind of it's the see, I told you I was ill, or see, I told you I was going to go back to prison, or see, infamy. They've all got it in for me, and it's there you go. I think Stuart hits the nail on the head. Marge Reed says, is it horrible? I like both of you. No, of course not, Marge, but I am the originator. I am the original. He's just nicked what I did on Century 106 and other places. He's always wanted to be me. It's a bit like single white female. I don't want to be him. And it's interesting that he says, goggly eyes, oh, they're just jealous. They're just jealous. Of what? 5.5 year prison term. Now to be jealous there of. And I've come to YouTube realizing that I have to change what I did. I couldn't do my radio act or my radio style that I did back in the day. I've had to up the intelligent quotient. So, Marge, you can watch whomever you want. That's the beauty of YouTube. Mephistopheles, good point. Maybe he's become institutionalized, especially when he's having a good time in the showers. Survive prison. I think he loves a captive audience, says Les Griffiths. I do. What I don't want to do, and I want to move on because there's some very, 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 very important stuff that I want to get to tonight. I don't want to be seen to be vexatious, because I'm not. But every time he takes the mickey and his audience know who he's talking about, me, then I have a right of reply. And YouTube will back me. I have a right of reply. But my right of reply has corroborative evidence all the way running through it. My right of reply calls the bullshit out and calls the lies out. And look, if this would have been a very clever way of dealing with everything. He could have said, look, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. I've served some of my time and I'm still out on nearly 3 years of license. So I have to be careful. But all I want to do is entertain people and make people laugh. How I do that, I'm not quite sure, because I'm going to take some time to get my feet under the table again. And look, I apologise to all of my victims, because there were victims, because this was not a victimless crime or crimes. There were 4 guilty verdicts, and the BBC acknowledged that there were 4 others that were also victims of what he did, and the BBC got it wrong. So in all, there were 8 in the trial, and there's 2 other restraining orders on 2 other people that I was in court to witness it getting rubber stamped. And the other thing is that because I believe that he can't help himself, we'll wait for your retro. The thing that I was witness to is something called perjury. Now that's lying in a court of law. So the black belt barrister, if you're watching this, and his barrister, who might get a tip-off from his best mate, black belt barrister, the barrister lied to the court. But Belfield told him, because this was negotiated the night before they went into court, and Nottinghamshire Police was looking for £20,000 in costs. And Belfield's barrister told the court. But again, can you see, it's just like a puppet. It's just like dressing up. It's not him saying it, it's a barrister saying it. But the barrister should have done his work, or got one of his chambers to do the work. At that time, there was nearly £400,000 in his champagne sippers bank account, because it's public record. Anybody can go and see it. I think it's just over 300 now. It might be less than that in December, when it will change, to show you how much he had to cough up for the 2 defamation court cases. But the barrister told the judge he has no way of making money when he leaves prison. The judge didn't ask whether he had any assets currently, and he has a house with a small mortgage on it, had over nearly £400,000 in one bank account. We know that he's got multiple bank accounts. So the judge awarded Nottinghamshire Police over £400 in costs, not the £20,000 that they applied for, because Belfield, through his barrister, told the court, in my view, a lie. Said he didn't have a way of earning money when he leaves prison. But nobody asks, what assets has he got now? His barrister didn't tell the court, these are the assets that he's got now. So whether it's an untruth or a very muddy truth, because technically he's struggling to make money, but he's still making money, possibly more than he would make from, especially with all of his stuff that he's got going on at the moment, more than he would have earned at Timpson's. So why did they tell the court that? To not pay Nottinghamshire Police £20,000? But Nottinghamshire Police, it was the court found in their favour and gave them compensation, as in costs. And he's calling Nottinghamshire Police corrupt. Now the black belt barrister and his mate, they know what perjury is. That's a jailable offence. So who was it that gave the wrong information to the court? But if I hadn't been sitting in that court and wasn't witness to he was sat in prison and being relayed from prison, there was only me and one other person from, I think it was Nottinghamshire Live or something. There was only us two in the whole court, apart from Nottinghamshire Police. Alex and his barrister were on screen, and the judge. It was rubber stamped, because it had all been worked out the night before. Beth says, there is free speech for everyone except those who wish to use it. Alex paid the price for exercising free speech. Okay, Beth, you're in the spotlight. Just tell me what he said that got him sent to prison. I'll leave the rest of the live for you to answer me that question. Tell me how he exercised his free speech that meant he had to go to jail. Just tell me. I'll wait. I'm waiting, Beth. Because that's the problem. People just say bullshit. Obviously are not quite up to speed with both of their IQ points. Beth, just stop having a go at other people in the chat. I want you to explain to me, in words of no more than one syllable, because I think that's all you can manage, tell me how he exercised his free speech and how that got him sent to jail. So I'm waiting for you. I'm not going on until you tell me how you got to that point, Beth, instead of having a go at other people in the chat. And I'm waiting. Waiting, Beth. Explain to me in words of no more than one syllable, because that's all your intellect can take. Explain to me how he exercised his free speech and how it got him sent to jail. Can you smell that? How are me, Beth? You're big enough to have a go at the other people in the chat. I can smell your bullshit from 150 paces. I can smell it. So kindly tell me how he exercised his free speech and what that was that got him sent to prison. Matthew Whedon, I do love people hiding under aliases. It's probably the raspberry. Oh, me, Beth, fuck off. You've gone into the chat and had a go. Now, I'm being nice. If you want me to be assertive, you wouldn't want me to do it in front of your face. And if you want me to be fully Sunderland on you, I'm quite happy to dig the grave for you. But intellectually, that's what I'm doing. You've stated something. Kindly put it in the chat and stop fucking about, otherwise you'll be shadow banned. I don't care. And everybody else is sitting here laughing at you. We don't know whether you're Arthur or Martha, whether you anything. And me, Beth, don't shout. It doesn't become a cunt. Right, we can get on. I think they were just goading us. But the he, she, it. Yeah, Beth's gone. She's that profile won't appear again. But they'll just come up with another one and decide to play around. But that's how it needs to be done. The bullshitters need to be called out because they can't argue with the truth. And they're saying, oh, he's a fighter of free speech. Is he? Bollocks. He told you, or his audience, that he was an investigative journalist. Since when? What was he investigating? Absolutely bugger all. Remember when he was representing himself in his trial, when he told everybody that would listen, just a pound, so I can have my day in court with the BBC and Nottinghamshire Police. And it turned out everybody just went, whoa, hang on a second. We've donated all this money and he's not taking the BBC or Nottinghamshire Police to court. Then he represented himself, and then, most importantly, he didn't take to the witness stand. So you want to clear your name, that bastion of free speech, and you wouldn't take the stand? I am telling you. And this is a man that not only is the bastion of free speech, he said he was anti-vax, anti-vaccine, anti-jibber-jabber. He was going to refuse it. And then when he realised he had to take it to go to America, poof, he couldn't get it done quick enough. How can you trust anybody that lies repeatedly? Because in 2025, we don't know which way is up or down. It's bad enough with the political classes, the parasitical classes, as I call them, absolutely shafting us left, right and centre. That's why the people that come to this channel for one reason alone: the truth, integrity. Because I don't lie. Why would I need to lie? Look, it would have been really easy for me just for him to come out. He's already out, but to come out of prison and me just go, oh, let him get on with it. Life will deal with it. But I'm sick and tired. Every time he takes the piss. Hang on a second. Crystal Beth, very good, Mephistopheles. I'm going to ask a very quick question. Has the live gone? So is this, just answer yes or no in the comments, because I want to get to Epstein. I want to get to some really important stuff. And I am going to end up doing at least 2 hours tonight. Oh, right, okay. I get it. So the Scarlet Pimpernel, you were talking about something else, not this one. Brilliant. Right, okay, it's all okay. So as I say, it's taken me 2.5 years to earn your trust. And the way I've earned your trust is by telling you the truth all the time. But in the last few days, thank you to everyone that's answered. Over the last few days, I genuinely feel sorry for the guy, because he's trying to be funny with his little puppet and concocting this tale of having an affair with a prison officer, which is illegal, by the way. So has he been involved in any illegality while he's been inside? According to him, he has. According to him, it was the Times that had the story and was going to publish at the weekend. So I bought the Sunday Times thinking, what on earth has he done again? I need to know what it is so that I could talk about it on the Sunday Live. It wasn't in the press. It wasn't in the papers. He made the shit up. But the allegations he made, he said that he had an affair with a prison guard inside. And out of that tryst, if you will, or continual trysts, a little puppet appeared. Yeah, very kind, Neil. Thank you very much. Adrian, having listened to you on both Rock FM and City, you gained my trust 30 years ago. You're very kind. Thank you, Neil. So and social media is a really weird animal. If you are not authentic, the audience will see through you. The audience won't kick and fling. They'll just vote with their feet and walk away. So, Gene Psychic, he says the big guy's in prison at his back. Yeah, his backside. How do you think they get... Look, lifers, how do you think they get through this? Oh, there you go, Terry. Great minds think alike. Vic's text is quite accurate. Social media is a pit of vipers. But in this subject matter, and I kind of said this at the beginning of this channel, I'm bringing 40 years of late night phone-in and lunchtime phone-in experience, dealing with human beings, the human condition, the knowledge that I've amassed about stuff that goes on in the background. As I said to you, my membership area will have everything that I know. Ned Smith. So, Adrian, why are you not still broadcasting? I am, Ned. What do you think this is? Fucking blue mist. Some of us have integrity, Ned Smith. Do you want me to broadcast? Do you want me to go and work for the BBC? Do you think I would? So who's left? Oh, do you think I should contact them? Do you think they'll take me on, Ned Smith? Have you been here before, Ned? Or are you just me, Beth, under another name? I see you, exactly. This is the new radio. I mean, I look at broadcasting as in radio and commercial radio, and there's very little there for me. I won't go any further than this, but I have had conversations with broadcasters recently. Let's see what happens. Because the deal has to be right for me, as well as them. Spencer Davies says, you do speak a lot of sense. Appreciate you, Adrian, helping us to make sense of it all. Your question to me, Beth, was classic. Look, I did exactly the same thing. It's just another tool in my broadcasting toolbox. I did exactly the same thing in South Wales. I went to Real Radio and I was part of the launch team of the most successful regional radio station launch in the history of any radio in the United Kingdom. I was part of that launch team. And my figures late night went through the roof to the point where they kind of shoehorned me in to the late night thing. And they were going to give Umberto, a guy from Manchester, who's a legend in Manchester, they were going to give him the whole late night thing. I became available and they shoehorned me in. And then they said to him, well, we've got other stuff for you. We just need to leave Adrian. He's doing really well. But, you know, I didn't know at the time what they were doing with Umberto. Terry Wookfit says, has the Bellends not realised he hints at lots but gives nothing? He ties himself to Lucy Connolly and Tommy Robinson, but that's to attract viewers. I don't bandwagon jump. Look, the whole premise of this is not a show, this is a mission. And what is the mission statement? I'm trying to make sense of the world as much as anybody else. And if I can make sense of something and then offer it on here, whether it's Epstein, as I'm about to, or whether it's the Ben Gurion Canal and the Gaza Strip and the gas and the oil under there, or Russia and Ukraine and why they're at it and what they're doing, if I can make any sense of that, and then it resonates with you, then you get to understand a little bit more of this life, because it's madness. The last 5 years, what we've endured is absolute madness. Adam Whale says he's nothing like Tommy or Lucy. I think we have to be very careful with Lucy Connolly, because she becomes then a cause celeb. And actually, we are, or the society is building her up into something that she's not. She did the tweet and then decided it wasn't for her and took it down after taking the dog for a walk. But it's the unfairness of the sentence, I think, that people are railing against. But remember, there's Bend Over Starmer. He's laying wreaths today for 7/7 that happened 20 years ago. Muslims bombing English and Londoners, and he's laying a wreath because the Muslims bombed the trains and the buses. How the actual... Is this man devoid of any intellect? Because I have shit more intelligent stuff than that man. And you've got a man that goes up to Southport knowing what he knew and what we now know, because we can see in his eyes. As I've said to you, the people that have been in jail for 2.5 years have no idea that Southport changed this country beyond all recognition, because we lived it. It's our lived experience. So if we can make sense of it, and thankfully we have X to be able to speak truths that won't get us, well, I say that. No, I'm not going to tempt fate. Gene Psychic, I think a bit of 9/11. Oh, look, we can... And again, 9/11 is one of my personal areas of expertise, because I lived it. I was in a radio station and I was literally in David What's-its-face, the gym, and I just finished a workout and I was just sitting on a weights bench, and some of the staff came over because they knew me quite well in David Lloyd's in Cardiff, and they came over and went, "Whoa, have you seen that on the telly?" Because all the tellies, they suddenly put all the tellies on in the gym, and I was like, "Oh my word!" And I said to them, and I quote, "This is history. This is the biggest story of your lifetime. I'm going to get myself into work." I literally ran into work. I agree with Neil. Lucy's tweet was unfortunate, but her sentence was disproportionate. Completely. Stewpot James, I'm 20 minutes behind live, but yeah, in fairness to the stalker, the person playing his mum in the video appears on stage as our Trace and was due to be on the bill on a show. Oh, really? Let's continue with this. We'll get back to the convicted stalker at some point tonight. So, 9/11, oi, PSYOP. Now, if you want to buy the book, because you know there's a book. Well, before 9/11, there was a book. And the book is called Storming Heaven. You can buy it on Amazon. It's literally a blueprint for what happened on 9/11. How the terrorists hijacked planes and flew them into towers, high-rise towers, the Pentagon, and everything. So, Storming Heaven, buy the book. I've got it in my archive somewhere. And it's a blueprint for 9/11. But on 9/11, on, I'm going to say 11th of September, on the 10th, no, was it the 10th of September? There's Donald Rumsfeld standing up saying, right, lads, well, we've lost a bit of money. And, well, it's not just a bit of money. It's $3 trillion. Don't know where it's gone. $3 trillion. It's just gone. And the day after, the whole world changes. I'll tell you where the $3 trillion went, into the black ops of the CIA. They just moved it around. And they needed to move it around. Why? Because regime change in Iraq, the Middle East, and Israel, and all of that malarkey, that $3 trillion funded it. And you know the missile that went to, it wasn't a fucking airplane. I mean, give your head a wobble. The missile that went into the Pentagon actually hit the offices where all the paperwork was. So it went, there's no evidence. So nobody's asked where the $3 trillion went. Nobody has done any investigating into where the $3 trillion went the day before 9/11. It was a psyop. It was a false flag. It was to have regime change in the Middle East so they could get all the oil out of Iraq. So they could get Saddam Hussein. Now, let me tell you something. As a little aside, we'll get back to 7/7 and we'll get back to Jeffrey Epstein, because the stuff that I've got about Jeffrey Epstein's going to make your hair curl. The 9/11 premise, and you will remember this because you were watching the same TV as me. Two things. One, remember when they went into that hotel in Boston and they kind of, the military went in as what the military would call as a brick. They went in as a brick because they were told that Osama bin Laden is in the hotel. He's in the hotel. He's manipulating everything. He's in the hotel. And bugger me, if all the mainstream media outlets were there with the cameras, right, go on lads, we're filming, 3, 2, 1, go! And they come out 10 minutes later, he's not there. Well, fan my brow, we could have told them that before they went in. Because Osama bin Laden was a CIA operative. They built his cave complex in the Tora Bora mountain range for him, because you know that he needed kidney dialysis. He was an ill boy. He needed kidney dialysis. They knew exactly where he was. And this bullshit that the American government and John Wayne, I'm in the army, mate. Yeah. We're the best army in the world because we give our pilots speed to go on fucking missions. So we're just gonna give everybody a kicking, except the English, because they've got the best army in the world and they've got the best soldiers in the world and they've got the best special forces in the world. So the Americans, the fighters, my hairy arse, have shit stiffer stuff than them. And if you're American and in your armed forces, start looking at yourself, because you promulgated lies on behalf of your corrupt government. The Democrats, United States Agency for International Development. Oh, wonder where all those trillions went. So Osama bin Laden needed kidney dialysis, needed regular kidney dialysis, and his cave complex in the Tora Bora mountain range was created by the CIA. Now, he was a rich boy from a very wealthy family. The bin Laden family across the Middle East, trillions, man. They're billionaires. But he got the CIA to pay for it. And what was the first thing America did? The first thing America did when, after 9/11, they bombed the Tora Bora mountain range. Oh, fan my brown mother. Why did they do that? Because they wanted to build the pipeline from the Caspian Sea, which in the year 2000 had 300 years worth of gas and oil at the year 2000 consumption levels. They had 300 years worth under the Caspian Sea. And what was one of the next things that they did? They started bombing the Tora Bora mountain range. I'll tell you why in a second. But the next thing was George Bush had Vladimir Putin at his Texas ranch to sign the deal. So the Americans and the Russians built a pipeline from the Caspian Sea down through Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, through the Tora Bora mountain range. So that's why they bombed it, because they wanted to flatten it so they could get the pipeline through the Tora Bora mountain range in Afghanistan down to a warm water port in Pakistan. And that pipeline is still pumping gas and oil out of the Caspian Sea to this day. That's what 9/11 was about. $3 trillion has been miraculously spirited away for false flags and psyops, and they're getting all the oil and gas out of the Caspian Sea. And that's why the Russians went into Afghanistan in the 80s. That's why they wanted to conquer Afghanistan in the 80s. Why? Because they wanted the gas and the oil out of the Caspian Sea, and they needed to take Afghanistan. But the raggy-ass camel shaggers just went, whoa, fuck off, boom. And they just killed all the Russians. And the Russians went, oh, hang on a second, these are a bit too tasty. Can't take these on. They're shagging camels and they're killing our soldiers. So you know why camels are called ships of the desert, don't you? They're full of Arab seamen. So you've got the Russians trying to take Afghanistan. They left. This is all fact. You can see it in your news reportage from the 80s. You can see when they legged it out of Afghanistan. And then obviously another 10 years and the Americans are going in, but the Americans do it differently. So 9/11, they used it. It was a distraction. They used it to distract you away from what they needed to do. Exactly the same as the Gaza Strip. What did Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, need you to do? Look the other way. So they bombed the shit out of Gaza, killed a whole load of them because they had deniability. They had the October 7th. So they've literally cleared half of the Gaza Strip and they put a military road halfway up the Gaza Strip. Why? Because the Americans and the Israelis built a $300 million port, and they told you, "Oh, we're going to get help into the Gazans. We're going to get support and help and medical supplies and food and anything that the Gazans need." Why would they build a $300 million port just to get medicines and help and food and water into the Gazans? Because that's where the gas and oil is going to come ashore. They found hundreds of years worth and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars under the East Mediterranean and under the Gaza Strip. It just so happens that if they didn't get rid of the Gazans, they weren't going to be able to bring the oil ashore and or drill in the Gaza Strip. So now what they're doing, they'll just hold them, they'll kettle the Gazans in that bit of the strip that they're there, and then they'll move them down to the Sinai Peninsula. It's a buffer zone between Egypt and Israel, and I predicted this 2.5 years ago. Again, I'm trying to give you insight into geopolitically what's going on in the world so you can make sense of it. It's not for me, it's for you. So all that is going on, and 7/7, it's the anniversary. Neil said some nice things at the beginning. But for me, in fact, bollocks to it, I'm going to tell you. So you might remember this. I have this and copies of this photograph. There was a photograph of the 4 Muslims going into, I think it was King's Cross. You'll remember that, except it was doctored. The picture that was put in the press, and that's why it's not in the press today. That's why you won't see it anywhere online. That's why you won't see it anywhere at all, ever. Because it was a doctored picture. And the mistake they made was that one of the Muslims, I think the third one nearest the back, his arm, even though he was about 10 feet in front of the barrier, his arm was behind the barrier. So can you imagine the analytics we've got with AI and stuff now, how we could analyse that photograph? The intelligence services, 77th Brigade and others, because there's not just the 77th, they wouldn't be able to get away with half of what they got away with. But they were telling us this was on all of the newscasts, all of the TV newscasts. It was in all of the newspapers at the time that these were the Muslims that perpetrated 7/7. And one of them was 10 foot in front of a barrier with his arm behind the barrier. You remember that, or have you conveniently forgotten? I haven't. I never do. Stuart James says, the convicted stalker is so desperately fretting to rewrite the history of his trial and conviction at the start of every video of his I've seen. I can't believe his audience swallow it. His audience is not this audience. His audience is not as discerning as this audience. My audience that watch this channel are critical thinkers. And like Les Griffiths, I take my hat off to Les. He didn't take the bullshit that he was given. He questioned it. The minute he saw it, he questioned it. As did the Scarlet Pimpernel. Great minds think alike. They both came up with the same answer almost simultaneously. But Les posted it last night in the chat. Burlington Bully, it's like the Abbey Road cover all over again. Yeah, but it's evidence. It's there. I mean, maybe I should do a video and just put the picture, because with the apparatus and analytics we have in 2025, AI would look at it and go, "How do we end shite, man? This has been doctored. What do you mean? This was the original? No, shite. I'm AI. I know what I'm talking about." As I said, Stuart, yeah, he calls them fat and they don't even realise it. He's trolling his own audience. Now, some people might think that's clever. Some people might think that that's funny. That's fine. Just I don't. And the audience that comes here don't take the bullshit either. Because there's nothing worse than realising you've been lied to. Nothing worse. That betrayal is a bitter, bitter pill to swallow. I've told you before what he did to me. And at the point the penny dropped, I felt sick to the pit of my stomach. That man was standing in front of me. That man came to my house. That man helped me move house out of Nottinghamshire up to the northeast. And Adam Wales says, doesn't he realise his views are down because some of his audience realises he's a fraud? Instead, he thinks it's dark forces. No such thing as dark forces. Not in his case, anyway. What he did was, he was found guilty ×4 by a jury of his peers. I think it was 11 and it went down to 10. One of them took ill. So he was found guilty ×4 by a jury that listened to all of the evidence in the court case. Not some keyboard warrior. That's brilliant. Ghetto defendant. Me, a C2DE. How very dare you. Very funny ghetto defendant. But the jury listened to all the evidence in the trial. All of it. The fact that, he had Jeremy Vine on the stand and was getting Jeremy Vine to define a caring, understanding 90s type. That's not law. That's not. No wonder the judge was brassed off with him. So the jury listened to it, found him guilty, and then the judge, via the sentencing guidelines, gave the appropriate and proportionate sentences. But it totaled, because it was concurrent, it was consecutive, not concurrent. If it had been concurrent, he would have been out in a year. But he took the piss out of the court. He didn't even have representation in the court. The judge had to appoint him some representation, had to appoint a barrister by the court, free. And yet all this money that he was asking for representation for his day in court, he never spent a penny of it. The court gave him a barrister. So let's leave that there. I want to get into the Epstein stuff because this is, it's breathtaking. Because the Epstein stuff, as I say, I wanted to talk about EHCPs, the scrapping of that. That can wait until tomorrow. I might do some Beck and Watch. Just as a little full stop to what we've been talking about tonight. Again, if any of Alex's team is watching, because I know you do, you love it. I don't watch your shit, but I know you do mine. I just want to ask, it's very difficult being constrained by my lack of intellect. But who's Russell Jesse? So you know how the convicted stalker has told you that he's written his book. 40 years in showbiz. No, 30 years in showbiz. No, 25 years in showbiz. He can't remember what he said. So I'm not sure he would remember what he's actually written. So recollections may vary, so I'm going to help him. Because the trauma of being in jail for 2 and a bit years is not an easy thing. So who is Russell Jesse? Russell Jesse is the author that is named on Amazon on Alex Belfield's book. So Amazon are recognizing 2 authors. Now, I said to you a long, long time ago he can't write. So I'm not quite sure how he's written 6 books. One of them is banned, never to be seen again, book 2, because he talks about the trial, and he can't talk about that because of his license conditions. So if anybody knows who Russell Jesse is, because Russell Jesse is named as an author on the Convicted Stalkers book. So if he's written the book and he said, I've written it inside, why would he need a co-author? Or is it a ghostwriter? But Russell Jesse needs the appropriate recognition, because I believe that's the writer, not the convicted stalker. He might have dictated it down the phone, and he said, oh yeah, I definitely wrote it, so I'm going to show you the manuscript or something like that, because I'm getting this third hand. Just tell us who Russell Jesse is, because he's named on Amazon as a co-author or ghostwriter or something. So evidently, it's another lie. So I don't know who Russell Jesse is and in what relation he is to the Convicted Stalkers book, but God bless them. So I want to know who Russell Jesse is. It's just a really obvious question, considering there are 2 authors credited on his first book. In my experience, he always gets other people to do the writing. And I know that for fact. I have the evidence. Don't take that on, Alex. Just fess up. Who's Russell Jesse? And, you know, look, if it's been ghostwritten by somebody, there's legitimacy there. You can turn around and say, I had to have a ghostwriter, but they're all my stories. We've worked together on the book because I was in prison at the time. And you know, that authenticity, it would possibly gain him a new audience and a bigger audience. Tablock Tracy says it's $12.99, but it's not for sale on Amazon. It's being pulled. But if you go look for the book on Amazon, it's there. It's saying it's been pulled, but the 2 authors are still credited there. So who made the money, if any? Welcome back, Retro. Hope you enjoyed your dinner, you wrong'un. Right, lots of comments, but I want to get onto the Epstein stuff, because this is the hair curling stuff. It's the part of the live tonight I'm calling the smoke and mirrors section. And why am I calling it that? So, the Epstein files. Are you aware of this? Are you aware of the whole story? Some bloke killed himself, suicided himself in jail. Or did he? Not did he, did he? Did he? So why won't they release the Epstein files? Because as I was explaining last night, there are those elites caught in a web of blackmail. And they're still being controlled by Israel. Or by the intelligence services, Mossad and Israel. So let me tell you what the FBI released today. Epstein killed himself. No shit, Sherlock. There's no Epstein list. Hang on a second. So Ghislaine Maxwell is actually in jail for trafficking minors to no one. So Epstein's dead. Dead men can't talk. Les Griffiths. Yeah, both the FBI director, Kash Patel, and deputy director stated there are no files. But let me tell you, and I was going to leave this for tomorrow night, because Kash Patel, do you know his story? Now, it's just a technical term that we use in radio, but do you know who he's shagging? A former Israeli intelligence officer. She's 20 years younger. No wonder he's got a permanent grin on his face. Very pretty country singer, seemingly. But Israeli. So he's banging somebody that's a former intelligence officer of the IDF. What the actual? So Kash Patel's come out and gone, there's no Epstein list. And Epstein killed himself. So if there were no clients, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? Does it make sense to you? Please try and make it make sense to me. So, look, I told you last night, politicians, showbiz, business, they're all controlled by blackmail. And there's Bill Gates' missus. She said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing but directly quoting, she said, Bill Gates' friendship with Jeffrey Epstein was one of the reasons she divorced Bill Gates. Jeffrey Epstein, he went to the White House under the Clinton administration 14 times. He's been across to Buckingham Palace. He's fraternized with Andy the Perv, in my view. So again, when I ask you what have they got on Sir Keir Starmer, and I know what they've got on Sir Keir Starmer, but I do like living, I like breathing, and I don't want my brake pipes cut. And anyway, where's the Fun Boy 3 gone when you need them? So what have they got on Trump? Because we were told, so this is what we're being told today. No clients, didn't blackmail anyone, and definitely didn't kill himself. Jeffrey Epstein. But what have they got on Trump? We were told by the Attorney General in the United States and Dan Bongino, we've got 14 terabytes of evidence. Quote, we've got 14 terabytes of evidence. That's a shit ton of emails. It's coming, just wait. I quote, it's coming, just wait. They said there was over 250 victims. They said there was over 10,000 child abuse videos and child porn. I can say that, you can't, obviously. Oh, Terry Wookfit. You know why, Tower Block Tracy? Amazon refund. Belen doesn't. So let me just ask you this. If they've got 14 terabytes of evidence, why no list? Why no clients? And again, it's coming, just wait. They've been telling us for months. We've been waiting. The first thing that we wanted Donald Trump to do was release the Epstein list, the client list. Tell us what was going on. And then Kash Patel was put in as director of the FBI. And he goes, yeah, I've seen the files. And then the Attorney General, she said, oh yeah, it's on my desk. And remember, they were standing there with folders, Epstein list or something, for a photo op. Current chaos. Why Andrew being let off now? Question mark. Well, just wait. I'm going to get to it. So, the FBI are in on it. Donald Trump swerved it. The Attorney General swerved it. Kash Patel swerved it. They're not releasing the Epstein list, the Epstein files. They're releasing nothing. What they're saying to you and I is nothing to see here. But there is. So the FBI announces quietly, and I'm quoting directly here, it has officially ended its investigation into Prince Andrew's link with Jeffrey Epstein. No charges will be brought against the Duke of York, I'm quoting directly, or any other high-profile associate of Epstein. Nothing to see here. Step back from social media. Nothing to see here. Unless, of course, you've got X. You've got a profile on X. Go and find me. I've published a load of stuff that might get me brake pipes cut. But I'm going to give you that again. The FBI has announced quietly, because it's not in any of the newspapers, it's not making the news cycle, it's just going to be swept under the carpet. Nobody's going to think anything of it, because tomorrow there'll be other shit on the front of the papers, which means absolutely all, unless you're David Beckham. Oh, look, Victoria, yeah, Lady Vic, yeah, we're on the front page of the Sun again, yeah, that comic. So the FBI has announced quietly, it has officially ended its investigation into Prince Andrew's link with Jeffrey Epstein. We've seen the photographs. We've seen the videos. We've seen him waving goodbye, not to the cleaner. Dougie! Adrian, You mentioned the Bradshaws tonight. Blimey, brought back memories. Billy Butler used to play an episode each day on Radio Merseyside. Yeah, it was, I can't remember, it was Hawkins. I think the guy behind the Bradshaws was somebody called Hawkins. And it was all over the north because it was mainly Yorkshire. But yeah, Bradshaws. But you haven't heard that for 30 years. So the FBI has said that no charges will be brought against the Duke of York or any other high-profile associate of Epstein. That includes Bill Clinton. How many people have been killed? Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates. Why? His missus said, yeah, him being friends with Jeffrey Epstein is part of the reason why I divorced him. And yet, there's no action for the high-profile associates of Epstein. And here's the kicker, the thing that you're forgetting, because I haven't mentioned it thus far, but when I do mention it, in a millisecond, you'll go, there you go. Virginia Giuffre. Dead women can't speak. And she told everybody that she was fine, no mental health issues, and she's not going to kill herself. She took her life in April. Less than 2 months ago, just 2 months ago. So I'm going to quote the investigators. I'm going to quote the FBI again. Investigators have said, and I quote directly, did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. What that means is we're not taking any further action. Prince Andrew's been NFA'd. 2 months after Virginia Giuffre died. Whether she took her life or not is a matter of conjecture, but it's also a matter of conjecture whether Jeffrey Epstein killed himself or whether he's in South America like bloody Hitler getting a bit of plastic surgery so nobody recognises him. And do you know the other thing that nobody's mentioned? Who took over the blackmail ring after Jeffrey Epstein? Who's the new Epstein? Because you can guarantee this is the reason why they have not done anything. The Uborval says, does that mean Andrew gets his millions back? No. Look, his brothers and his nephew are billionaires. What does he need $18 million back for? And Terry Wookford says she may have topped herself because her kids and husband wanted nothing more to do with her. There is a case for mental health issues. Now, I'm not suggesting that she did. But when you are trying to tell the truth and nobody believes you, and it's the old, the Alien film, nobody can hear you scream in space. So if she's telling the truth, and you know the local mad cat lady, everybody goes, oh, she's mad, huh? She's got like 20 cats. Who's to say she's mad? Terry Wookford, who was Virginia Giuffre? Virginia Giuffre was the one that Andrew was shagging. And she was trafficked by Epstein to come across to London to have sex with Prince Andrew at an address in London. And I believe she was telling all the truth. But then again, Andrew's not the brightest button on the blazer. Look at the Newsnight interview. You and I watching it can't even believe what he said or what he did. So if you think about it, these are very powerful people. This is soft power, not hard power. Soft power. And what they do is they just move along in the shadows. Their money is no object. Pharmacide, says Vix Tex. Interesting. Was she telling the truth, though? She was also at death's door from a bus crash that turned out to be a nothing burger. How do we know this, Terry? Are we relying on what the mainstream media reported? I wouldn't wipe my backside with the mainstream media. And do you want to know why? I have to give you one example. Not Terry, but everybody who's watching this. I have to give you one example. And what's that example? COVID-19. The jibber jabber. And now all the turbo cancers that are happening, all the pancreas problems and the heart problems and the heart attacks and all these people that are dying at an early age. And yet the mainstream media are not putting the jigsaw together. So why did Pfizer buy a Canadian company that dealt with solely turbo cancers? It was their specialist area. The company was worth about $4 billion. And Pfizer bought the company for $40 billion, 10 times its worth. That's not a very good business deal, if you ask me, unless they're aware that there's a shit ton of clients coming their way with turbo cancers. Yeah, I'm with you, Les. I'm worried about it because they're not going to stop. This is a fight between good and evil to the end. They're going to try and kill us all off. That's why. And I will definitely, if I can do it for tomorrow night, we might concentrate on the Georgia Guidestones, because somebody somewhere bombed them and blew them up. Why would they do that? Bits of stone in the middle of nowhere. Well, maybe we'll do that tomorrow night. Blood clots, yes, there's also that, because you put it together, Rev. That's why you're more trustworthy than the MSM. Thank you, Stuart. Goodness, Theb. The same with the convicted stalker. He's trying to tell the truth, but not being allowed to. I've just spent quite a while on tonight's live explaining to you why he doesn't tell the truth, why he continually lies. So I've been very generous in saying that he might just be trying some comedy out. But if he has a dossier of a paedophile embedded in the BBC that's now working with kids at some fun park somewhere, then just out them on here. You have the hundreds of £1,000s. You have life-changing money. If you have the truth and you have a dossier to back you up, speak the truth. He said that he's an investigative journalist and he went into jail just to see what it was like. Now, I don't know whether this is comedy, but the comedy isn't making people laugh. So he's not telling any truths. I've given half a dozen examples of where he's lied tonight alone. So if he's helping, supporting Katie and Tommy, then stand up on platforms, because I know he won't, because he can't, because his license says he can't give a sermon, he can't deliver a talk of some kind. That's why he's not. Terry Wookfit says, Goddess Theb, could you explain why he started stalking his victims long before he got big on YouTube? We'll wait. Like 5 to 6 years ahead. So, Albert Metcalf, she declared herself bankrupt. So all that money's gone missing, if there was ever any. So, the Jeffrey Epstein case, 2 months after Virginia Giuffre, she was the blonde girl who was 16 when she first met Andrew. So technically she was legal in this country, certainly. And she was 17 while she was having sex with him, but she was trafficked from America by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. But Andrew's NFA'd, no further action. The prosecutors did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties, meaning Andrew's not going to be had by the Americans. So I wonder who's managed to negotiate that. Charles the Weak, anyone? But it's not the end of the story, because history repeats itself. So who is the new Epstein? There will be a new Epstein in place. They will be given all the tools that Epstein had, all the cameras that Epstein had. I don't mean like they're going to gut his house and then give it somebody else all the cameras. There's going to be another Epstein somewhere, exactly the same as Diddy. Diddy's getting away with it. Why? Because he's got a shit ton of evidence on very powerful people.
Hello, my name's David. Me mate Harry. Yeah, Harry. You know, the thick one. Yeah, we went to Diddy party together and we drank and stuff and yeah.
So what the bloody hell was Harry doing there? second. It is very frustrating that no, I think that he occasionally tells the odd mistruth for comical effect. Goddess Theb won't be able to post anymore because that is just, it's either the convicted stalker having fun. So come on, convicted stalker, you tell us about the gay porn on your laptop that was in your flat when your cousin or nephew came to stay with you, and you rang me up complaining that he'd found gay porn on your laptop, and you said, I don't know how it got there. And I said to the convicted stalker, look, it's your laptop. It's either you or him. He's not going to put it on your laptop, is he? Oh, I don't know. Maybe he was having a joke. So why are you complaining to me? Because he found it. Right, okay. Why are you complaining to me? It's your laptop. Deal with it. Look, I don't care which way Arthur or Martha swings. But what I care about is being told lies. And for comical effect. Fuck off. If you've just come out of jail, you have to be squeakier than squeaky clean. And you have to be authentic, in my view. Because that way you get the trust of the audience really quickly. You just say, look, I gubbed up. I've done some of me time. I'm on license for another 3 years. But I think in his head, genuinely in his head, he thinks he's done his time. And I will guarantee you this. I don't think he thinks things are real. But I know what he did to me. I know what he did to others. And it's a real sickening feeling at the pit of your stomach when you know that somebody that's close to you, that you speak to time and time again, every single day of the week, about all kinds of stuff. You know, women that he's taken to Vegas and trying to shag and she wouldn't have it. I've told you that story. The gay laptop story in his flat in Canary Wharf. These are all corroborated. Now, if I'm lying, and I'm not, just do what you need to do, Alex. You threatened me with the police 4 weeks ago. I'm still waiting, mate. I'm still waiting. You haven't done that. You're just Billy Bullshitter. So what are you going to do when you go to the police? What they're going to tell you? It's a civil matter, sir? You told me, take the videos down, apologise, or I'm going to the police. Go on then! I've been waiting for a month. Because that's why I've got all the evidence out. I'm waiting for the policeman. They're not going to do anything. I'm not doing anything. Every time I speak about you, it's my right of reply for shit you're putting in your videos. So the quicker you stop putting that shit in the video means the quicker I'm just not going to mention you and I'm going to move on. Oh, by the way, a very knowledgeable man has given me a real education into Oasis. So there's a video coming into Oasis. You know, the system that the prison system uses to deem whether you're high risk of reoffence or medium risk of reoffence or no risk of reoffence. And it's the traffic light system. Green, amber, red. Red, definitely going to reoffend. Amber, probably going to reoffend. Green, not going to reoffend. I've had a real education by an expert in it. And remember, the convicted stalker told his audience, I'm not a danger to anybody. Well, that's just one part of it. That's not reoffending. That's just, he's a coward. He's a passive-aggressive coward, in my lived experience. But Oasis, when they say you're high risk, and he said, oh, I've gone from high risk to medium risk. That's of reoffending, not danger to people, reoffending. And his reoffence would be stalking and harassment. And what did he do to me? He went on one of his videos and says, right, take the videos down, apologise, or I'm going to go to the police. That's exactly what he did to one of his victims in the court case. He made that threat previously. So go on, Alex. I'm waiting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because I have more knowledge than you realise. Can't wait. But you won't. Because it's all bullshit. It's all lies. Tissue of lies, everything. Nothing's real. Nothing is real to that man. So, Tablock Tracy saying to Lauren, you should listen to some of my stuff, proper banging. I've heard Tablock Tracy's tunes. Tablock Tracy, put one of your songs on so people can listen, because there's some proper bangers. Depends what you're talking about. I'm talking about music. Dino Goldie, what's with the Scouse impressions? I thought the convicted stalker was from Nottingham. Dino Goldie, you need to go to the fucking doctors, mate. I'm from Sunderland, a little further north than Liverpool, and this is not Scouse. It's Mackham, you thick cunt. Let's change tack. Did he walk? Garen Davis, no, sadly. He's been found not guilty for the more serious charges and crimes. And now what he will do is he'll probably get some kind of deal and he'll be looked after. So Diddy's not going to walk, but he won't get anything as bad. Yes, he is, Les. He won't get, I mean, he's going to look at the rest of his life in jail. So he will get out at some point. It just depends how many years he gets. But they have to be seen to be taking care of business, prosecuting him. Current chaos. Could have been authentic and re-established his career, being honest. That's what I've said. If he'd been very clever, which he hasn't, he could have come out, just gone, look, I need a bit of time. I'll do me videos as and when I can. Thank you to everybody that supported me. Thank you to everyone who sent me letters and stuff. And I really appreciate it. But I just need time to spend time with my family and my friends. Just need a bit of breathing space for a couple of weeks or so. But I'll stick stuff up every now and again. And he could have just led the audience and taken the audience with him and been authentic. He could have apologized to his victims, for one. But there's been no contrition inside because he says, no, I'm the victim. I'm the victim. No, I think you'll find you're not the victim. You're the perpetrator. If you want, what's the drama triangle? You have a perpetrator, a rescuer, and a victim. So in this drama triangle, and I'm dragging this from the back of my head, he's both the victim and the rescuer, but he denies that he's the perpetrator. And if he was clever, he should have just gone, look, I'm 45 years old. I'm in my midlife. Things are different now. I've taken a different look at things. I'm looking to get back on stage. Really looking forward to doing that. I've written some books while I'm inside. I'm going to release them soon. Just, I've got 300,000 subscribers. Just keep an eye on what I'm doing. And then start posting every day. Just little things. Just get your timing back. Just get how you are back. But self-love and self-healing is what he's not doing. I think he's self-sabotaging, in my view. And I'm saying that as a man who's lived life and knows human beings. So, also, I do think that, I know that you love what I bring to the table around the convicted stalker. I know you do. But there are some of my close friends who watch a lot of my live saying, oh man, Adrian, I know a lot of your audience don't know what you are telling them, but I've heard it before. I've heard the stories before. I heard the stories 20 years ago. So, and I appreciate that. Terry Wookford, as Les says, no, he didn't, mate. He knew the RICO couldn't be proven, so it was always down to the lesser charges. If he pled to the RICO, he would have got at least a 10 stretch. So it'll be interesting to see whether he does get 20 years. He's got these two guilties, could get 10 years each. But even if he gets 5 and they are concurrent, not consecutive, I don't know how the American legal system works, he might be out in... if he gets 5 concurrent, then he might be out in 2.5. He'd do that stand on his head. I'm just changing something for me so I don't make a mistake when I'm reading it. Terry Wookford believes he'll get less than a year in jail. Well, that's a major result. Don Wigley, Spitting Image has been revived by YouTube. I think that's been around for a while, Dom. I'm not quite sure what the new stuff is, but I know that a couple of years ago, certainly, they were revived on YouTube rather than ITV or Channel 4 or any of the mainstream media broadcasters. Rusty's Roaming saying the convicted stalker is going at it 100 miles an hour. Some of his vids have been a bit weird, to say the least. I think, look, anybody spending any time in jail, it's traumatic. I wouldn't want to do jail. I wouldn't want to go inside. It's traumatic. And look, he could very easily have told everybody inside, I'm a political prisoner, similar to Tommy Robinson or Stephen Yaxley Lennon. So that's what I mean. I've upset some really powerful people, the BBC and Nottinghamshire Police. And the minute he's like, oh yeah, I've upset Nottinghamshire Police, he'll be a hero inside. It's all about not necessarily telling the truth, but it's just becoming someone that can survive 2.5 years inside. That Hurt says, we could do with a Wave a Chicken in the Air song right now. I always watched it with my dad. Didn't Spitting Image do I've Never Met a Nice South African? Wasn't that another one of their songs? I worked with a South African guy, and I said to him, have you ever heard that Spitting Image song? He's like, what? I said, I've never met a nice South African. You know what sex is, don't you? It's what South Africans keep their rubbish in. What was a flop? No, the Let's Close Him Down was the BBC. Oh, that is hurting. That, oi, oi, oi. Oi, oi. 2 seconds, caller. Fucking hell. Sorry, Beata. No, I don't think Bernie sent that email, the Close Him Down email. I think that was somebody else in the BBC later. But look, if you put somebody in a state of fear and alarm to the point where they're going to take their own life and unalive themselves, you can't, you look, 2025 is completely different now. We have different laws. And this is a social commentary channel, so I can talk about literally any subject that I want. That's why I created this, so that you could talk about it, I could talk about it. But as I say, I'm happy to move on. But if he keeps engaging me with silliness and lies, then I'm just going to call him out for his bullshit. The same way that I'm calling Tute Ikea out and all of his bullshit. Bad Wolf Project says the convicted stalker's channel will get pulled and he'll blame dark forces, so his flock keep handing over $4.99 a month for his verbal rubbish. Interesting. But why would his channel get pulled? I mean, I'm subject to exactly the same vagaries as any channel creator on YouTube. I've not had strike against me. I've not had any problem with YouTube whatsoever. I'm almost at 10,000 subs. So the more we spread the word and we get to 10,000 subs, it means that YouTube will give me a free manager, so to speak. It might be AI for all I know, but it'll be somebody that helps you in growing the channel. And I'm not, on the one hand, it would be lovely to make a living from this so that I could do it all the time. But as it stands, I don't make any money from this. So money's not my objective. My objective is the truth and telling the truth and giving you a way of seeing through the bullshit. Whether it's crypto, whether it's getting yourself an allotment, all of that still stands true because the shit hasn't hit the fan yet. It's coming. They want it all done by 2030. 2027 at the latest, but they've given themselves a buffer. And the UN, the WHO, I'm going to talk about the World Health Organization tomorrow night, because I've seen something, and now we've signed up to the WHO so that they can lock us down for more pandemics. So if there's another pandemic, the World Health Organization have the power to lock us down in this country. And you're not aware of that? The United Nations, they're running this country from Davos. I don't know why I'm pointing over there. Davos is evidently not over there. It's over there somewhere. Switzerland. Oh, and by the way, Kash Patel's missus that he's been seeing for a couple of years. Now, she's only 22. So he's been, doing the life fandango since she was 20, the mucky old tart. He's in his 40s. No wonder they can't wipe the smile off his face. Galactus, you're very kind. That's why I come to the body of the Kirk. Because it's not... Look, I'd rather give you the truth and then get taken out on my shield. And at least you know, as has happened in the past, at Real Radio, at Century 106, Century Radio, LBC, all of the radio stations that I've worked for, people 20 years later go, bloody hell, I remember you. Yeah, brilliant. I remember what you said as well about so-and-so, so-and-so. And that all came true. I mean, I was getting real major heat at Real Radio in South Wales. The boss came to me, Evening Simo. He came to me and went, for fuck's sake, man, Adrian, I'm getting heat. Stop mentioning the bloody asylum seekers. I said, right, okay, I'll stop mentioning them. So I went on air and called them economic migrants. Next day, my office, now! So I'd get out of my bed because I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning after my show. Went in 9 o'clock. What the fuck you doing, man? I'm getting heat, man. Right, okay. So which part of it was I lying then? He said, I don't care about that. I'm getting heat and you're talking about the bloody migrants. I said, I'm not. I'm talking about the economic migrants. I'm not talking about the illegals. He said, I don't bloody care. It's the same thing. Same different words. Same. And you know that bit where your manager kind of the hot air starts coming out the ears and the spittle starts coming out and they all get themselves worked up. And he just said, I fucking told you, stop talking about the illegal immigrants. And I said, I bloody told you I would stop talking about the illegal immigrants. He said, you didn't. I said, yes, I did. I talked about the economic migrants, not the illegals. Oh, fuck off, man. Thankfully, me and Simo are still mates. And it's just all a game, man. I mean, some of the stuff that I've gotten out on the radio, on commercial radio, because of the way that I did it, which is being copied by other people who then says I'm jealous. Fuck off. Stephen Hall says, so we are going to be told what to do by a foreign power regarding public health. What was the point of Brexit then? We haven't got Brexit, Stephen. Backdoor Starmer got us into the back door of the EU. He signed us up. And because it's an international treaties, it doesn't need Parliament ratification or scrutiny. He can just sign it and sign us up to stuff. That's the EU were massively pissed off with us because we voted for Brexit. Why? Because our billions that were going into the way the EU works, they buy people's off with stuff like bridges and, buildings and hospitals and stuff. But in the meanwhile, they're absolutely trousering billions and billions and billions of euros and dollars and pounds. The pound's worth more than the euro. The French and the Germans still have their fiat currencies because they've never given them up just in case the euro failed. And I'll also tell you this. backdoor to the EU. Can you remember John Major standing on the steps of 10 Downing Street going, oh, with Norman Lamont, his little puppet beside him, oh, lads, right, no, we're coming out of the ERM. And everybody looked around, watching the telly going, what? The ERM? What the bloody hell's that? Hang on, we were in the ERM. And what was supposed to happen was that any fiat currency, the pound, would have to go into the exchange rate mechanism for 2 years to then align themselves with the euro. And what happened? The exchange rate mechanism was bankrupting the country. So John Major and Norman Lamont shit themselves, went on the steps of 10 Downing Street, because they can do this when they want to. If the shit hits the fan, they can do whatever they want. And they just went, we're pulling out of the ERM, we're pulling out. And everybody went, ERM were a good band, says Les Griffiths. So everybody was like, hang on a second, how did we get into the ERM? Was that bloody Ted Heath, Morning Cloud, Rent Boys? Was that him? And he said, there's a butter mountain and, well, there's a milk lake and you can have some free butter and some free milk. And it's just the common market. Notice how they sold it in? It was just the common market. We're just getting together with all our brothers and sisters in Europe and we're coming together as a common market. And then that was the slow dawning death of this country. Get rid of Starmer, give the job to Larry. What, the cat? Can you imagine? Pussy running number 10. Are we back to Liz Truss again? And a day collar. Alan says, meanwhile, autumn budget, expect NI, income tax and VAT to increase. Of course they will. They're liars, man. How can you tell when a politician's lying? Their bloody lips move. So that's why she's crying, because she knows she's going to get shafted. She knows she's not going to get the top job now. She thought it was a shoo-in. Thought Starmer was going to disappear. Starmer was standing next to her, couldn't even hear her sobbing, couldn't even see her crying. Fucking hell, Rachel, what are you doing, man? Oh, sorry, said Keir. I wanted to be Sir Rachel. I wanted to be the first woman to be a knight. No. Because ginger growler, rawr, that's why they call it ginger growler, because she'll bite your head off. Frank Boff paid good money for that. So, Rich says, Starmer's a puppet frontman. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But he's a WEF puppet, as is Tony Blair. WEF puppet. Just thinking about all the past prime ministers. So Blair got his Order of the Garter, Honi soit qui mal y pense, that's their motto. Any holds a goal, translates from Latin. And after him, it's Gordon Brown. Oh, he's not going to get, oh, fucking hell. Gordon Brown, oh, odious man. Can't tell you why on here, but I am going to tell you in the membership area. Don't, Adrian. Don't. So have you asked the question, why did Thomas Hamilton, why is anything to do with Dunblane and Thomas Hamilton being given a D notice? Why is it buried for like hundreds of years? Take a drink, Adrian. Take a breath. Membership, I can tell you that. Don Wigley, I can't hear the name Norman Lamont without thinking of Julian Clary. Didn't he say Norman's backstage getting a fisting or something? And I was sitting in the northeast. I didn't know what a fisting was. I was sitting in the northeast thinking, are they fighting backstage? As in fisting, as in fisticuffs. Les Griffiths, Bohemian Grove. Yeah, Moloch. Sound like a dog with a hair lip. Google Hank the cat and Stubbs the cat. Oh, I say, Andrew. Is it not suitable for work? Wisdom T. Kirk. Oh, just wanted to say, as well as Chris Lilly taking off on leaving Radio Leeds, the convicted stalker says, I've never been a journo. Then suddenly, he is since 1998. He's not. I know. He's never done a degree in journalism. He's never been a journalist of any hue whatsoever. He believes he's a citizen journalist now, and was given some very clever. Was given some very clever advice on how to get a journalist card, where you don't have to prove anything. They just give you how much? 30 quid. There you go. You're a journalist. So as far as I'm concerned, he's never worked in a radio newsroom, and his newspaper journalism, he submitted freedom of information requests and then passed them on to the dailies. Freedom of information requests to the BBC. One of them was, how many bog rolls do you use? And I'm sure I've seen the article. In fact, I think I've got the newspaper somewhere, where I think it was the Daily Mirror did a piece on how many bog rolls the BBC use. It was all because of his freedom of information request. That's not journalism. That's a freedom of information request that anybody can ask for, as long as you know what you're doing, I suppose. Oh, Andrew James, Hank the cat got 7,000 votes in an election. Brilliant. You know when they do the census every 20 years or every 10 years? Was it 2000? I was living on my own in Nottingham, and I became a Jedi warrior. I was one of them, and because there was over 250,000 declared themselves identified as a Jedi warrior, they had to put it in the census as there was, I think, 400,000 Jedi warriors in the UK. Funny as. Jedi Knight, that's me, says Alan. Me too. Hang on, another myth. Which one, Terry? You're wrong. So I'm trying to work out. We've done 2 hours tonight, so I think we'll do more tomorrow night. I wanted to get the Epstein stuff out. I wanted to tackle Ray Norton, Isel bog rolls, slip and slide. Yeah, Isel, 40 screams per wipe. That's an old school joke, blimey. That's how long ago that goes back. He keeps saying he's a journalist. He was a radio presenter only. Yeah, that's it, Stephen. He never worked in any radio newsroom that I'm aware of, ever. And you also have to understand that my standing with the radio industry is much, much, much superior to his. He was just seen as a grunt. He actually said that John Myers was one of his mates. John Myers didn't like him. I know John Myers didn't like him because John Myers told me. And Myers was very accepting of a lot of people. He has no standing in the radio industry. He certainly can't go back to it. This is all he's got. Can't do radio or media. A lot of people just 80 radio stations, including BBC Radio 2, it says on his YouTube channel. Stuart, he got, well, technically, I'll kind of give him the Radio 2 thing because they gave him the Savile interview and he got paid for the Savile interview. But he didn't work for Radio 2. He just did one interview that he hawked around all the BBC stations and BBC Radio 2 paid him for it. So it's a very fine line working for Radio 2. No, he just gave them the recording of the Savile interview, and they decided what they used and what they didn't use, but they had to pay him for it. I'm definitely going to have a look at this, Andrew James, tomorrow. Mr. Potato Head received 4 votes in Boise, Idaho's mayoral election in 1985. Fantastic. Did he have his moustache on? So I'm going to keep what I was going to talk about for tomorrow night. Tuesday night, 7:30. Tuesday night, another live, 7:30. Nicholas says, can we plan a Kirk Christmas party live, fun and jokes? What, in a pub somewhere? Or do we... yeah, I mean, we've got a 200th live coming up in 2 weeks' time. Because if we do 4 a week, we're on 193 tonight. 194, 195. So it'll be, if I do 4 next week, it'll be a week come Sunday. We'll do the 200th live. I mean, I don't know what we'll do. Maybe some tap dancing, or we'll tell some jokes, or maybe we just crack a few funnies and do the best gag of the night. We can do anything we want. Just depends what the news cycle is like that day. Rich says we need 10,000 subs party. Yeah, we'll have that. So we'll have the 200th live, 10,000 subs, and a Christmas party somewhere. Should we do it in the Lamley? That would be funny as fuck. Neil Cunningham, should Adrian do an interview? Oh, fantastic. Since the first video in the garden. Wisdom T. Kirk, thank you for that. We can do anything we want. Do you want me to do an interview with somebody else? Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow night, because let's just recognise that I'm running out of steam quickly now, because I'm an old boy and I've done a quiz. We can do a quiz. We can do anything we want. Or if we're going to do 4, we'll do the Sunday night, and we'll do like uproarious stuff and music stuff, and then the following night we can do a quiz, and then the following we'll do 4 nights. Ian McGee, Lauren Taylor. Yes, I remember that paper. Very slippy and many accidents. Yeah. But I'm not gonna dwell on Eisel as the final thought of the evening. Yeah, utter wrong. Thank you to the Bovril and to Stuart for their continued support. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for your and Jackie Glasgow. Good to see you in the body of the Kirk. Night all. See you tomorrow. AA, great stuff. Thank you, Jackie. And what was I going to say? Yeah, smash the likes before you go. You've been quite tight with them tonight. I want to get over 200. Because last night's live was the stats on the live was just tremendous. Thank you very much for that. So thank you for your likes, your subscriptions. Smash the likes, your wrong uns, before you go. But most of all, thank you for your indulgence. My name's Adrian Allen. As always, whatever you do, wherever you go, be safe, be well. Don't forget the Battenberg, and remember the theatre of the mind. It's not a show, it's a mission. See you 7:30. Thank you, Rich. Night all. See you to Tuesday night, 7:30. Be well.